day to you. My name is Marek Kądzielski, and you are watching Poland Daily Culture. Here with us is Marek Kądzielski, Polish philosopher and also a student of Professor Bogusław Molniewicz. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for inviting me to your program.
Right now, we will talk about Stanisław Lem, who is well known as a science fiction writer. Very well known in the world because most of his books were translated, but Solaris also had its film adaptation. But he had other essays which are less known in public, but very interesting. So what are they?
Well, Lem was really a universal mind and really a man of genius. I'm not afraid of saying this. He was very well prepared to be a writer. He spoke 5 languages. He has definitely literary skills. He was very well educated. In many countries, like for instance in Russia, in Germany, he is first of all perceived as a philosopher and only then as a writer. In philosophy, he was dealing with, first of all, he was dealing with technology. And it must be stated that while almost entire stream of so-called futurology in the Western literature, the stream that tried to predict the future and the development of technology in the future, we have 2 fundamental essays, the dialogues and Summa Technologiae, the essays in which Stanisław Lem, in the 50s already, predicted the development of internet, of virtual reality, the development of biotechnology, many things that we are developing right now. So he predicted the existence of such inventions and the paths on which the technology, I'm afraid to say our technology, but this is one of the reasons I want to talk about him. So the way the technology is going to develop. But in this analysis, here comes the moment when Lem says that deployment of technology constitutes an independent variable in the development of civilization, which imitates Marxian reasoning in good sense, because something that was perceived by Marx on the grounds of economics, and as far as Marx's diagnosis of economics are concerned, they are really deep. The predictions are false and misleading, but the diagnosis is not. And Lem's diagnosis of technology is very deep. His statement means that first, we cannot predict the future in terms we cannot predict the inventions that will be made. But on the other hand, we cannot control them. So when answering the question, who controls whom? Do we control the technology and its development?
Do we control robots or robots control us?
Or the technology in the development, the deployment of technology? Lem says, no, deployment of technology is autotelic. It's beyond us. We are not controlling this any longer. Lem used to be critical about the deployment of technology. He claims that deployment of technology brings more bad things than good. And first, most of all, he says that ultimately we will do everything what is feasible in terms of technology, what is technically feasible, no matter what is a moral judgment about it. Lem managed to create and to analyze and to write very inventive essays almost until his death. And one of his late essays is very frightening. It's written in 1995, and it's entitled Sex Wars. What is the basis for his reasoning is that human population on planet Earth is growing exponentially. The astronomers, because these are the astronomers who deal with great numbers, so the astronomers provide for these calculations, and they calculated that in 2010, which is not very long from today, population of the planet Earth will exceed 50 billion.
2010 was already.
And in 2020, 500 billion. So it's hard to imagine physically. So he predicts in this essay that we have to face an absolute nightmare, which is sex wars, when we, and he's talking about us, about people from the Western world, will have to stop this demographic hecatomba, let's say, to halten fertility of a human, of Homo sapiens as a species. And he says openly, we will do this. That's no question that we will do this. The question is when and how.
And right now, another essay which is not popular, which is called Provocation. Yes?
Yes. There was a time when Lem realized that he has more ideas and if in mind that could be outspoken if he is going to write complete books about them. So
there is not enough time for him to write about everything what he wants to write, yes?
Exactly. So he decided that he will be writing from this moment on the prefaces to books, non-existing books, the books he has in mind, and that he will provide for a summary in form of prefaces or summaries. And he wrote about many things. One of the most pacifying texts is called Provocation. It was published in Polish, of course. It was published in Germany, where Lem was discussed very extensively. Nobody wrote a single word about provocation, because provocation is, in my opinion, the deepest metaphysical analysis of the phenomenon of the Holocaust that has ever been written.
And we have to mention that Stanisław Lem
he was of Jewish origin. He was is somehow a survivor, maybe not a Holocaust survivor, but definitely he was to be executed. Miraculously, he survived following
a German soldier let him go.
Decision of a German officer who surprisingly decided to spare just him and let him escape from the massive execution he witnessed, he experienced on his own. He had to hide himself being in Lvov because he was threatened by the Holocaust. And he considered this problem thoroughly, because when we talk about the Holocaust, there is no natural explanation why Jews were attacked and eliminated by Germans, because there is no naturalistic explanation to this. Lem writes openly that first, elimination of the Jews was a very personal matter between German nation and Jewish nation. He highlights what is opposing to today's propaganda, that Germans never used other nations to eliminate Jews, only in absolute necessity, because they believed this is their moral obligation to eliminate Jews from planet Earth, because in fact they wanted to eliminate the presence of God from our civilization. And the Jews, an existence of Jews who are still perceived as the chosen nation, are the confirmation of the existence of God.
Well, this is a very strong statement. And of course, it's hard to say, because we as Christians, we say that God exists in every human being, in every soul, even in the souls of the Nazis. There existed Jesus and God. So it's a huge question, of course, but that's a statement of Stanisław Lem. Definitely.
This is what Lem states. He again puts into the light the most difficult problems, the most difficult questions, and puts them in a very open way, and invites us to discussion.
And this discussion is continuing, of course, until today, because we still struggle with the topic of Holocaust, good and evil, subjective and objective. And we leave you with those questions. And thank you very much for watching Poland Daily Culture.